Alright, this is my board game Arborius. It's a highly strategic game for 2 players. There's no luck or randomness, and all you need to play is an army of tiles for each player. You can build your own army, but this is the recommended beginner army. To start the game, players just choose one tile from their army and place it in the middle like so. Players will alternate taking one of the following actions. So you can play a tile onto the board from your army. You can unplay a tile, moving it back into your army. You can attack with the tile. The direction of the tiles matters, so you need to face a tile that you're attacking. So in this scenario, the sword can attack the soldier, but the soldier cannot attack the sword in return because the soldier is not facing the sword. Every tile has an ability, and you can also use your turn to activate an ability. The last 2 actions are entering and exiting mines. Every tile has an internal space called a mine, and I'll get more into this later. Here are the rules of placement. So to play a tile, you need to touch a tile that you already own on the table, and it needs to face that tile as well. So both of these positions are fine for the horse and that sword. This is also fine, and this is fine. You can also stack tiles, and you can play tiles directly on top of other tiles that you own as long as they are adjacent to one of your tiles and facing it. You cannot place directly on top if there's no tile next to it to face, and you cannot place on top of enemy tiles. When a player controls the tile on the top of a stack, they can move that stack all at once like this. This includes enemy tiles, so you can see there's a red card there. The blue player can still move that as though it was their own. No covered tile may take any action. While tiles can all move forward 1 space, there are also 2 other ways they can move. So they can ascend, that means moving up, so the height of the soldier has increased from 1 to 2, or they can move down, so the height of the soldier has decreased from 2 to 1. You cannot increase the height of a stack by more than 1. So the soldier cannot go from this stack of 1 to this stack of 3. That would be an increase of 2, that's not allowed. You can descend as many tiles as you want, this is allowed. An important rule in Arborius is the one-mind rule. This requires that all tiles which are in a mine remain connected. So what that means is this is one connected group of 3 tiles. Diagonals count as connected. The soldier cannot take this move because it would separate this group. Here's another example. The soldier cannot move forward. And another key example is that this applies for any action. So the blue player cannot take an action that would destroy this red soldier because it would separate this group. That includes attacking and killing. Okay, let's talk about abilities. So every tile has an ability, and there are 2 parts to every ability. The gray section is called the trigger, and the rest is the body of the ability. So if the action that is the trigger happens to that tile at any time, then the owner of that tile can choose to continue with the body of the ability. So, if the blue player chooses to play this castle, then they can also choose to activate the castle's ability, which would allow them to play 1 more tile. Crucially, the castle is playing this tile. It is not a global play action. So the blue player could not play over here. It is the castle doing the action, so it needs to go in one of these 4 spaces. Triggering an ability is optional, so the player may play the castle without triggering the ability, and also you can just use an ability without it being triggered, in which case, for the soldier example, it is move forward and then rotate, so it would be able to move forward and then rotate. Without it being triggered separately, that would just be your basic action on your turn. In order to use an ability, you need to be able to use the entire ability. You cannot leave out parts of the ability or fail to complete parts of it. So in the example of this tile, It is play freezes 4 adjacent tiles. Freezing flips them over, and they can't do anything until the owner flips them back using their turn. So if the blue player was to play this tile, they would have to freeze 4 adjacent tiles. Since there are not 4 adjacent tiles for them to freeze, they cannot use this ability. Once again, that's optional, so they can still play this in here without using the ability at all, but they cannot partially use the ability, freeze 2 tiles and be done, or just freeze 1 enemy tile and be done. So here's just another example. If we have this configuration, and the blue player decides to drop in this tile and activate its ability, and freezes 1, 2, 3, the red player's Vagrant, even though it's an enemy, it is triggered by freezing. So the red player has the option to rotate 1 piece adjacent to the Vagrant as it's being frozen. So they might choose to do this, and the demon can chain into an attack from being rotated. So it was like this before, the Vagrant rotated it, and then the demon could now attack this. However, because the ability needs to be completed, and this is interrupting the ability before it has frozen the 4th tile, the demon cannot kill this tile because it would stop the ability from being completed. The last mechanic in the game is mind travel, and this plays into attacking and defending as well. So, entering and exiting mines is a basic action, so you would use your turn to do so. You can enter any tile, including an enemy tile, that is directly in front of your tile. It does not matter the height. The horse can jump inside this tile, or it could jump down into another tile. So using that basic action, the horse would be able to jump inside the soldier, and we use this marker to denotate the soldier's mind. So everything that takes place inside a mind behaves exactly as it does over here. All the rules are the same. Tiles can be played in here and move around like this and attack each other. So the number of tiles in a mind affects the health and attack damage of the tile that owns that mind. So if a tile has no tiles in its mind, it has 0 health and 0 attack damage. Once a tile is inside a tile's mind, it can leave if it is the tallest tile in that mind. So right now there's only 1 tile in here. The horse can leave the soldier and it would appear like this on top of the soldier. If there was a taller stack in here, the horse can no longer leave. This tile would have to leave first. And just to note, since the soldier's now covered, nothing inside it can do any action. So let's say this jumps down. Now the horse can leave because it is now the tallest tile in the mind. So the health of a tile is determined by the number of stacks in its mind. So in this scenario, there are 2 stacks in the soldier's mind. That means the soldier has 2 health. The attack damage of a tile is determined by the height of the tallest tile in its mind. So right now, this is a stack of 3, so the soldier has 3 attack damage. When being attacked, you must destroy stacks of tiles from the inside of your tile equal to the damage that you're taking. So if this blue soldier attacks the red soldier with 1 damage, the red player must remove 1 stack of their choice from inside this soldier. To be clear, the stacks destroyed by attacking are removed from the game. They do not go back into the arm. If an attack depletes the tile down to 0 health, then it is destroyed. If a tile peacefully leaves, just using an exit action like this, that does not kill this tile. It has to be through an attack. The last feature of the game is sharing abilities between minds. So a tile can use any ability from an uncovered tile in its mind. So right now, the soldier has its own ability to move and then rotate, but it also has the horse's ability to move forward. This doesn't apply in reverse, so this horse does not have the soldier's ability. This gets really interesting when you remember about triggering and chaining abilities, because the soldier can chain with its own abilities. So if it started with the horse ability and advanced twice, it could then chain into its own ability and rotate. This allows you to make really cool combo abilities like this, where the soldier would use the horse advance, and then chain into its own rotate, and then chain that rotate into the demon and use that to kill this demon. Alright, that's the game of Arborius. I hope it looked interesting to you. I would appreciate if you'd visit my website. That's arborius.online, and you can join the Discord from there. Have a good one.